We're just super glad you're here. Honestly, of all the things you could have been doing, you could have been doing a lot of different things, but you came here. We're grateful that you're here because we love to come together. We love to be in community. We like to do this dance here in unity where we get to actually explore. We get to do things a little bit differently. We get to look at things in such a way that maybe, just maybe, we weren't able to do when we were younger because of different things, different ways that we were brought up, different things that we were taught. And it's one of the greatest things, I think, that Unity's message has always touched in my heart, and that's this idea that there's this thing called consciousness. There's this thing that's called Christ consciousness, and this idea is that it's inside of every single one of us. And what we believed is that when Jesus came down, that's what he was telling everybody. That's what his true message was. His true message was actually, hey, this thing that's inside of me is inside of you. And if you'll actually start to play with it, if you'll actually, and I always say this, I always say that looks different for everybody. The way that you start approaching your own spirituality is going to look different. We don't hold you to a specific set of rules and guidelines on how you do it, but what we believe is that when we start slowing down and we start listening to what's going on inside of us, that each of us have an inner voice. And it's our soul that is doing everything in its power to get your attention. And I always say this, sometimes it's a light little tap, and sometimes it's the spiritual 2x4 right between the eyes, right? And yeah, like that. Thank you, Bobby. And so this can become such a magical part of your life. When I walked in these doors when I was 16 years old, which is almost 50 years ago. I got a few more years, but I'm getting close. It's just been an incredible journey. And the thing that I want to do when I get up here every single time is just to tell you what a beautiful dance that you can have with God, with your own indwelling Christ, with your own spirit. And there is a way for you to figure out, what does that look like? Do I need to listen to a particular person? Do I read a particular book? Maybe I love to listen to some music that really puts me in touch with what I need to get in touch so I can feel God's spirit or presence within me. Or maybe it's, I don't know, sitting down and having lunch with a dear friend, or whatever it is for you. We never know what it's going to be, but here's what I do know. If you will make a decision to make this a priority in your life, I promise you this, because of who and what you are, that request cannot be left unanswered or unfulfilled. So the minute that you say, you know what, I think I want to make this a priority, I think I want to do this in my life, what's going to happen is the universe is going to give you all kinds of opportunities to figure out whatever your path happens to look like. My hope and desire is that that spark will start to ignite. That flame will start to grow inside of you. And as it starts to grow and it starts to expand, I'm just going to tell you from my own experience, it's really fun, like legitimately fun. Like you can start having a really good time. I always say this, Jesus loved to party. He did. He turned water into wine, used to hang out at all the weddings, used to do all the fun things, right? I think God's a really good time. In fact, in my opinion, I think it's the best game in town. I really do believe it. I just don't believe it the way the traditional teachings fit for me anymore. It's the best way to say it. And it's not like I'm throwing the baby out with the bathwater, like many of you know, but what I am saying is I believe that there's a deeper experience, and that's the whole thing about unity. To me, unity is about experiencing God in your day-to-day life. It's having this connection. And yes, the connection with God is super important, but you know what I think is equally as important? How about a connection with yourself? Do you think that might be important to find out what's going on inside of here? Here's an even bigger one. How about the connection with each other? Isn't that pretty cool? Like a connection with each other. How about having a community where you can go have these outrageous conversations, where you can talk about your own indwelling Christ and how that works for you and what that feels like for you and what it's like to live when you all of a sudden say to yourself, you know what? I've decided to start living a spiritual life, and that's what I want to do. And I get it. It's not always the most popular message, because not everybody is wanting to hear that. Not everybody is wanting to take the time in order to make this happen. But what I will promise you is if you start to do that on a regular and consistent basis, you'll start having an experience that I think is very uncommon. But my hope is that if we come together and we start sharing these talks and we start sharing these messages, that eventually over time, what happens is you're going to start to feel this and you're going to start to know it. And yeah, you can come here on a Sunday and get a little bit of a vibe and a little bit of a feeling, but to me, it's way more important for you to be able to do it on your own, because that's where the magic happens. And yes, we want you to come in here, and yes, we want you to come on Sundays and share it, because again, in my opinion, where two or more are gathered, well, guess what? If I'm not mistaken, we got more than two. Secondly, I think we're gathered. So two or more are gathered, right? And so we get to create the space. And I always say this every single Sunday, is like, we're going to create the space. We're going to create the energy that happens in the space. And so just know that we're super glad that you're here. Don't ever forget who you are. You are an incredibly powerful child of God. And we are really, really, really super glad that you're here.